Welcome back, YouTube. It is Saiko here, and today we are here back with another video. And today I actually want to start doing a top 10 list for every position in the NBA because the NBA season is, up and coming, and I still want to try and do my 30 teams in 30-day series again. So I feel like now is actually the appropriate time to start doing a top 10 list. And obviously today we were going to be starting out with the point guards. But before we actually get onto the list, I actually do want to tell you guys there are a few things that I want to make clear before we even get into actually ranking these guys. The first thing is, in order to make this list, you actually had to have played at least 41 games throughout the 2021-2022 season. So that means guys like Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, Lonzo Ball will not be in consideration for this top 10 list. But at the end of the video, I will be telling you where they would place if I were to have them in this list, despite the fact that the sample size of games that we saw from them wasn't enough. Because I mean, yeah, they could have played like Kyrie, for example, Kyrie towards the end of the season, but I still feel like that's not enough. That's not enough games to actually really tell how well they would do. It's just too small of a sample size for me. And second, I will be including guys who will be playing the point guard position going into this year and who also played it last year towards the end of the season. So that means a guy like CJ McCollum will be on the list because the moment that he was traded to the Pelicans, he did play point guard, and he's going to be playing point guard going into this year. So DeJounte Murray will not be on the list, but CJ McCollum will be on this list. And now that we have those two things out of the way, let me get on with the actual honorable mentions before we even start getting into the top 10. Fred VanVleet, De'Aaron Fox, Jalen Brunson, and Marcus Smart were all guys that I had considered putting into the top 10 list, specifically at the number 10 spot. Freddie did have a really good year, but I feel like post All-Star break, he did kind of fall off a little bit, or at least his numbers kind of dipped a little bit. So that's why he actually wasn't able to make the top 10. Although I think that if he did have as good of a season as he did in the first half that he did in the second half, he most likely would have been the actual number 10 on this list. But anyways, I actually do want to get onto the number 10 guy on the list, and the number 10 guy that I do have is one-time All-Star LaMelo Ball. Yes, I know I have LaMelo over Fred VanVleet. You can fight me, Raptors fans. I don't really care. Like, even before LaMelo actually even made it into the league, I had a feeling that he was going to be an all-star because we saw him from Chino Hills. He went overseas to some like Slavic country. I forgot where it was. He played back in high school. He went to Australia. Honestly, the kid has been on my radar for such a long time. That might be social media's doing, but like, he was able to make the All-Star game last year, and well, I mean, I think he was well deserving of that All-Star spot. Last year, he pretty much was averaging 20.1 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 7.6 assists, and basically like half a steal. No, a steal and a half. A steal. That's a little too low. A steal and a half a game. Honestly, when he was playing in Australia, I did kind of worry about him because of the fact that I felt like, I'm not sure if his game would actually translate into the NBA, but like, he won Rookie of the Year last year, and he's just continued his kind of like strong pace within his second year. He's a really good playmaker. His defense is really suspect, and he's pretty much kind of the guy that really does run that Charlotte offense. And I just really hope that he kind of continues to thrive, especially now that it's his third year in the league. And I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he made the All-Star game again. At number 9, I have the shooting guard turned full-time point guard in CJ McCollum for the Pelicans. For the longest time, CJ has pretty much been Dame's number 2 as like, that other small guard in the backcourt with them. And to be honest with you, I feel like that, and I feel like a lot of people can agree with me, that the Dame and CJ experiment throughout the years kind of just like, it really peaked, and I felt like that CJ was just going to be the player that he was. But boy, going to the Pelicans, I certainly was wrong. While he was in Portland, he averaged about 20.5 points a game, 4.3 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. But the moment that he got to New Orleans, things kind of changed up, where he was averaging 24.3 points a game, 4.5 rebounds, and 5.8 assists. The assist numbers definitely went up. He pretty much might as well have averaged 6 assists a game. And honestly, I really do think that going to New Orleans was actually what really helped revitalize CJ's career as well. CJ has pretty much kind of been the guy to handle the ball other than Dame, but now that he's kind of got that full-on point guard responsibility slash role where he can score and also pass the ball, I think it's really made him much more of a better player, and I feel like he does have a little more to his ceiling than I originally thought. He did struggle in the playoffs, however, I do kind of see him going into this next year being a full-on point guard, and I think that he's just going to be able to thrive. And I think that him playing point guard next to Zion especially is going to be a real fun treat to see in New Orleans. At number 8, I have a guard who pretty much had to really step it up in the playoffs because of injuries to his team, and that is Drew Holiday. With Chris Middleton pretty much going down like 2 games into their playoff run, Drew Holiday really had to be the guy to kind of step up. And I mean, I think he did a really good job, especially being a number 2 to Giannis. He averaged 13.8 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 6.8 assists, and also 1.6 steals, basically a steal and a half a game. And Marcus Smart winning Defensive Player of the Year last year kind of did make me a little mad, because I feel like Drew Holiday is the guard that should have been deserving of Defensive Player of the Year, because his defense is better and he's also really good offensively as well. But I do see why he didn't win it, because of the fact there are guys like Giannis, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton on his team, so his defense isn't really gonna be as shined upon as it would be like how it was in New Orleans. The man is literally one of the best defensive players in the game. His offense is streaky from here to there, but it's not as streaky as I would say someone like Marcus Smart can be, or at least Marcus Smart has really improved his offense as well. But I don't know. They're both pretty streaky, I guess you could say. For my number 7 spot, I have a breakout star in Cleveland who just got a new teammate there, Darius Garland. Last year, he averaged 21.7 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 8.6 assists in a really big season where he was in Cleveland. The All-Star game was in Cleveland, and he was the big representative for that city. And plus, he was able to really help push that team to get into the play-in, although they had to face the Nets, which was unfortunate, but they were in like the top of the standings for a long time, especially him as the lead guard. And ever since Darius Garland kind of came into the league, it was supposed to be a backcourt of him and Colin Sexton, kind of mirroring the whole Dame and CJ backcourt. And I honestly did feel like Darius Garland, out of the two of them, Darius Garland, I felt was going to be the better guard. And I mean, he's here in my top 10 list, so what does that say about him? And I also do remember before last season even started, Steph Curry actually did say that he was telling people to buy stock in Darius Garland. Man, I've been buying stock in Darius Garland since like his first year in the league, although he didn't really perform great. But you know, me and Steph, we on the same wavelength, you know, we share a brain cell. Not really. Not at all. He's a really bright young star. He's a really great shooter, and I'm really looking forward to how he plays this season, especially now that he doesn't have to like really carry the ball handling duties now that he's got Donovan Mitchell next to him, which should make things easier for both him and Mitchell, because you know they can rely on each other now. At number 6, I have my favorite point guard of all time, and that is pretty much a guy that I could see Darius Garland kind of turning himself into, and that is Christopher Emmanuel Paul, CP3. For someone who's literally going to be 38 in 2023, in May of 2023, the fact that my favorite point guard is still on this list and he's that old, I mean, I think it really speaks volumes about him, doesn't it? The man averaged 18.1 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 10.8 assists. He was pretty much, I believe, the assist leader last year. And after really changing his diet a few years ago, it really does feel like Chris Paul has become a completely new human being. Like, you would expect as he gets older for him to get more injury prone, but like, he really hasn't been that injury prone as of late. Like, I remember him being traded from Houston to OKC, and OKC wasn't really looked at to kind of be anything, but he brought them into the playoffs, took Harden and Russ to 7 games. Like, he was in OKC, and then he went to Phoenix, and just like has been thriving there. Like, man, what else can I really say about Chris Paul, man? He's one of the best players in the fourth quarter, and I just really want him to get a ring, man. Like, it's been years. I felt like last year, or like the 2021 run, was really his year, but obviously the Bucks won it, and like props to Giannis for that. But I just really want to see CP get a ring. He's one of the most consistent point guards. There's a reason why he's kind of nicknamed like the point guard, I guess. Like, he's really like a pure point guard at its finest. Now, before we actually get into the top 5, if you guys could actually take a moment to hit the like button and also hit subscribe, and also hit the bell notification if you do hit subscribe, that would really be appreciated. Liking the video actually does help it get out to more audiences, so that way, you know, people can see the video more often. And obviously subscribing shows that you like the content, as well as hitting the bell notification, so that way you don't miss out on any content. I'm gonna be doing a top 10 list pretty much like every other day at this point, so like, if you guys could please do those things, I would really appreciate it. And yeah, now without a further ado, let's get on to the number 5 spot. Funnily enough, my number 5 is a guy who actually used to play with Chris Paul, who is now a point guard in the East Coast, and that is James Harden. After finally wanting to get where he wanted, like after just like this whole James Harden saga about like him not really like wanting to play, I don't know, him just like not really being in shape, him having so many disagreements about like Kyrie and stuff, and everything. Like, they only played like a few games together, and like he was really injury prone last year. But the moment he got to Philly, man, he really helped Joel Embiid in the Sixers. While he was in Brooklyn, he averaged 22.5 points, 8 rebounds, and 10.2 assists. And the moment that he got to Philadelphia, he ended up averaging 21 points, 7 rebounds, and 10.5 assists. I'm not looking at James Harden anymore to be that guy that he was in Houston, averaging like 30 plus a game anymore. But I'm not expecting him to like, dip down and like fall off a cliff. He was really effective last year in the games that he played with Philly, and I'm really expecting him to kind of continue that consistency this year, especially now that like, it's going to be like a fresh start. He's had the offseason. He's been working out too. Like, when he got to Philly, pretty much everyone's points per game pretty much went up. Like Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, who, I mean, no one really expects Matisse Thybulle to be like, a guy to really score the ball, but James Harden being there, for some reason, everyone just starts to score. And, I mean, James Harden, he's a shooting guard and a point guard, but like, I mean, he pretty much runs the offense. At number 4, I have the high-flying breakout star, the guy who officially won Most Improved, Demetrius Jamel Morant, Ja Morant, whatever the heck you want to call him. I just like to call him Demetrius because, like, I think that's a dope name. Last year, Ja literally skyrocketed his scoring, having like 27.2 points a game, and he also recorded 5.7 rebounds and 6.7 assists on the Grizzlies, and like, he made it to the Western Conference Finals with them. My bad, he didn't make it to the Western Conference Finals. He made it to the second round with them. They lost to the Warriors. Duh. Going into the season, I kind of don't really see Ja like falling down from where he was from that 27 points that he was scoring. I'm pretty sure that he's gonna probably average the same amount. He's probably gonna, record more assists because that's what he was known for in college. He literally led the NCAA in his second year in assists. So I do see him going from like the 6.7 to probably like 7 to 7.5, which, I mean, for him, I don't really think is that big of a deal. Ja is literally the leader of Memphis, and that team will actually ride or die for him. And the fact that you can have a guy like that on your team where everyone else is kind of like we with him all the way shows a lot about him. And actually, out of all the guys, including the guys that are on my honorable mentions list, Ja is probably my favorite player on this list right now. My one big gripe with him, though, is that I hope that he can stay healthy and kind of stay a little more off Twitter. I mean, we all know that he, like all of his Twitter shenanigans, he's a character on Twitter, that's for sure. At number 3, I have a guy that I was really trying to flip back and forth between him and Ja, but I did decide to put this guy at 3 and Ja at 4, and that would be Trae Young. The Steph Curry, Steve Nash hybrid, pretty much. Last year, Trae averaged 28.4 points a game, 3.7 rebounds, and 9.7 assists. Pretty much, we might as well round it up to 10 at that point. We all know what Trae does. I literally called him the Steve Nash, Steph Curry hybrid. He's a guy who is a playmaker, but also a sharp shooter. We all know what he can do. And honestly, I was really debating between him and Ja who to put at 3 and 4, and I ultimately did decide on Trae. However, I only picked Trae over Ja because of the fact that he does have more points per game and he does have more assists per game. But the one thing, like I mentioned before, is that Trae Young, the one thing that he lacks that Ja Morant definitely has is that leadership capability. Like, the thing is with Trae, there's never really been like a big positive report about him in the locker room. I mean, apparently there were rumors about like him and John Collins not really getting along, and just like apparently he's not that great of a locker room guy, whereas Ja is. And that was kind of the reason why I really did feel like putting Ja 3rd and not 4th on this list. But also another reason I feel like I could put Ja over Trae is the fact that going into this season, Trae is going to have DeJounte Murray, so a lot of the load of the ball handling capabilities won't be pressured so much on Trae anymore. But also at the same time, if you think about it, Trae is literally the type of guy that could pick up 4 dudes off of the street and literally win a game with them, probably, like in the NBA. I wouldn't doubt me. He'd average like 30 assists a game if he just brought like random dudes on the team, and he, with his sniping capability, like, I'm pretty sure that he could at least win a few games with just a bunch of dudes on the street. At number 2, I have a guy that I would actually love to see win MVP this year, and that would be Luka Doncic. Is there anything that I really have to say about him? You know him, you love him. Most people actually called him, or at least I know like overseas people have been chanting overrated to him, but like, we all know what he does. The guy averaged 28.4 points a game, 9.1 rebounds, and 8.7 assists. The guy literally does everything. Like, it's unbelievable. If you couldn't tell by me reading his stats, he might as well just average a triple-double, but like, he's him. That's all I gotta say. When you look at Luka, you see that guy and you're like, that's him. And with him having Christian Wood on his team, I do feel like that's actually a really good score to put in the 4 position, maybe the 5 if he decides to play defense. So Luka does have a little more help this season, or at least that's the hope. Luka's pretty much won everywhere he's been. In the Euro League, he was an MVP. Here, he's proven to himself that he's a winner, despite the fact that he's been eliminated twice in the first round. Last year, he got to the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors, and like, honestly, like, he's amazing. Like, there's a reason they call him Wonder Boy. I'm rooting for you, Luka. I really do hope that, you know, you put up, I mean, he puts up MVP numbers like every night. So like, I'm actually really hoping that this is the year that he wins it. And at number 1, I think this is pretty much kind of obvious. Like, I haven't mentioned him throughout the video, but at the same time, I feel like everyone knows that this guy is number 1, and that is the 2022 Finals MVP, who didn't even need it in the first place, Stephen Curry. 25 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 6.3 assists last year. The man is literally like, he's breaking records everywhere. He is right now the leader of the he's the leader in 3-point makes, which I don't think until the man retires, I don't think there's going to be anyone that's going to catch up to him. He's been the number 1 point guard in the league for the past, like, I don't know how long, so it's like not really surprising that I put him number 1. However, I think the only dude who is a point guard that could take over the number 1 spot from him would be Luka. Like, I don't really know what to say. The man is literally a sniper. He is like, he changed the game. He revolutionized the game. He showed that he could win before and after Kevin Durant got there, and just like, man, look at Curry, man. So inspirational. Shout out Flight. And last but not least, I would actually like to give a rundown on who would be on my top 10 list if people like Damian Lillard and Kyrie Irving were actually going to be on the list. And I got to read it off my script because I honestly don't remember it that well. And it would pretty much be number 10 would be Drew. Number 9 would be Darius Garland. Number 8 would be CP3. Number 7 would be James Harden. Number 6, I'd have Ja. Number 5, I would have Trey. At number 5, I would have Damian Lillard. I know there are some people who will argue Damian Lillard, or at least like they'll argue Trey Young over Damian Lillard. I prefer Damian Lillard. Number 3, I would have Kyrie Irving. Number 2, Luka, and number 1, Steph. I think when they're fully healthy, both Dame and Kyrie are literally top 5, but they're not top 2. Like, I just feel like the gap between 3 and 2 is, I mean, if I have Kyrie at 3 and Luka at 2, the gap I would say is sizable, but at the same time not. It's just that Luka is like, I don't know. Luka is literally that guy, man. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. Did I rate a guy too high? Did I rate a guy too low? Let me know down below. And please don't argue about like, oh, this guy, you could have this guy 6, but you have this guy 7, or it's like you have this guy at 7, but you have him at 6. Like, look, honestly, if you're gonna complain about like a guy being at 10 when he should be at like 6, that you could pose an argument for. But if they're literally back to back, don't argue about it. Like, they're interchange. The ones that are back to back are pretty interchangeable. Other than that, like, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. My next video, which should come out within like the next couple of days, I'm going to be doing top 10 shooting guards. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a good day. Please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more content. And yeah, I will catch you guys later. Bye, guys.